This is Mac OS Ken.
China eyes an App Store probe, word of screen-reading malware in the App Store, and fix your M4 Mac your own damn self. It is Thursday, the 6th of February, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Factor, meals that are smart and delicious. Get 50% off your first box plus free shipping with code MacOSKen50 off at factormeals.com/MacOSKen50 off. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. The question: who could have seen this coming? The answer: anybody. Anybody could have seen this coming. Apple Insider cites a Bloomberg report that says China is eyeing an antitrust investigation into Apple's App Store practices, apparently in retaliation against the Trump administration's 10% tariffs on goods from China. According to the report, the new U.S. trade tariffs, ostensibly imposed on China, will be paid by U.S. businesses and consumers, not China or any other foreign country. But they mean higher prices for Americans, which will mean a decrease in sales, so China has been announcing retaliatory measures. What they're said to be looking into is App Store practices and fees. Maybe you're thinking, yeah, them and every other country, what makes this retaliatory? Well, first, there is the timing. Additionally, though, the piece says China already investigated the App Store and concluded in May of last year that Apple was not abusing its market position. That aside, the rumored, though as yet unannounced probe will tread well-worn ground. Said to involve China's State Administration for Market Regulation, it'll reportedly concentrate on the App Store's standard 30% commission, which, again, was fine last year as far as China was concerned. It's also expected to look into Apple's dealings with third-party payment services and app stores. Specifically, Apple's not allowing them. Unfazed as ever over the China probe talk is Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote Wednesday, which could be summed up with one word: yawn. After asserting that Apple gets considerably less services revenue from the China region than comparatively to other regions, Mr. Ives says this is all a game of high-stakes poker between Trump and China, and Apple is clearly a chip on the table. Quoting more of his note, we estimate Apple gets roughly $5 billion per year annually from China around App Store, so it's less about revenue exposure for investors and more about building U.S.-China tensions with U.S. big tech in line for retaliatory shots across the bow. We stress that Cook has been well ahead of these anticipated tensions in China over the past few months, and we believe many of these tensions have been worked out behind the scenes for Apple, with the next step, Apple announcing a Chinese tech partner for Apple Intelligence. The analyst went on to say Cook is 10% politician and 90% CEO. In times like this, he will be using his strong ties with Beijing to make sure it's smoother waters for Cupertino ahead, despite the market agita around this topic for broader U.S. tech in China, as Trump heads down the tariff threat path. Calling all of it a very contained risk for Apple, Ives maintains an outperform rating on the company's shares. His price target on the shares is a street high, $325. What's less cool than malware with screen-reading code? Malware with screen-reading code found in Apple's App Store. Mac Rumor says that is a thing, according to the folks at Kaspersky. Called SparkCat, the report says the malware includes OCR, or optical character recognition capabilities. Such tech can be used for reading sensitive information saved in a screenshot on an iPhone. While that could seemingly cover lots of things, the apps Kaspersky spotted appear to be looking for recovery phrases for crypto wallets, which would allow attackers to steal Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency. The piece says Kaspersky located several App Store apps with OCR spyware, including CumCum, WeThink, and AnyGPT, but it's not clear if the infection was a deliberate action by the developers or the result of a supply chain attack. As for defending against it, Kaspersky suggests folks avoid storing screenshots with sensitive information like crypto wallet recovery phrases in their photo library. See also other sensitive information. MacRumor says Kaspersky says that the malware is flexible enough that it could also be used to access other data captured in screenshots, like passwords. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Factor, helping you optimize your nutrition in 2025. We've talked a lot this week about the great proteins, wonderful sauces, and fantastic sides from Factor. What we haven't talked about is breakfast. For me, that tends to be the most boring meal of the day. Doesn't have to be, though. While we might make blueberry pancakes and cheddar scrambled eggs or orange pancakes with sausage on a weekend, they can be part of your weekly package from Factor. With wholesome smoothies, grab-and-go snacks, and more, there is a lot more to Factor than great lunches and dinners. Of course, the lunches and dinners are great too. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it is easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. See what is on the menu for you. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/macOSKen50off and use code macOSKen50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code macOSKen50OFF. Code macOSKen50off at factormeals.com/macOSKen50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Well, this was quick. Just a day after Apple released the app Invites, a piece from 9 to 5 Mac says Apple has released an update for Invites. Stabs and perfs are the order of the day for Apple Invites version 1.0.1. According to the Cupertino Company's release note, singular, this update contains stability and performance enhancements. News of a discount for Apple Vision Pro that will not move the needle in the slightest. 9 to 5 Mac says Apple's headset has been added to the company's Veterans and Military Purchase Program. That program offers a 10% discount on included items to current and veteran members of the U.S. military, National Guard and Reserve, as well as immediate family members who reside in the same household. As for downsides, Apple Card monthly installments are not available, according to the report. Also, the thing is still wicked expensive. The caveat-laden discount takes the starting price from a sky-high $3,499 to a still quite princely $3,149. Accessories get 10% off though, so go crazy. And finally today, if you're one of those do-it-yourself types when it comes to repair, the entire M4 range of Macs is now open to you. iDownload blog says Apple's self-service repair store has begun selling genuine parts for all M4-based Mac computers, including those using Pro and Max chips. The piece says parts on offer include SSD modules, logic boards, Wi-Fi antennas, top cases with an integrated keyboard and battery, and replacement batteries. Of course, without the know-how, that's just a pile of stuff. iDownload blog says service manuals for the machines are also available now. macOS Ken, brought to you by me. and sponsored by Factor. Get 50% off your first box plus free shipping with code MacOSKen50 off at factormeals.com/MacOSKen50 off. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Leonard likes this post.